Some places are dangerous because of the animals that live there. Others are dangerous because of the people. But there are a few places in this world where neither explanation is enough. Deep in the high Atlas Mountains of Morocco, there are forests so old that no one knows when they first began to grow. Massive cedar trees rise like pillars into the sky. Thick carpets of moss cover the rocks. Even at noon, sunlight struggles to reach the forest floor. To a traveler, it feels peaceful. To the people who were born there, it feels like walking through someone else's home. For centuries, Amazigh elders have repeated the same warning to every child. If you enter the mountain before sunrise, you must leave before sunset. Never stay after the last light disappears. Never answer a voice calling your name. And if you ever find a tree covered with old cloth and strange carvings, turn around. Do not touch it. Do not even look at it for too long. Most people today laugh at those stories. They call them myths, old superstitions, folk tales invented to frighten children. That is exactly what 26-year-old Hamid believed. And before that winter night was over, he wished he had listened. Hamid lived in a small Amazigh village hidden among the mountains. The village was isolated. Stone houses clung to steep hillsides. The nearest paved road was hours away. Life there had never been easy. Families survived by farming, raising goats, gathering herbs, and cutting wood. Hamid had chosen one of the hardest jobs imaginable. He made charcoal. Not the factory charcoal sold in supermarkets. Real charcoal. The traditional way. The process had barely changed in hundreds of years. He would hike deep into the mountains carrying little more than food, water, an iron axe, and a few basic tools. After finding enough dead oak and cedar, he carefully stacked every log into a massive dome. Then he covered the entire pile with soil, leaving only a few tiny openings for air. Inside that mound, he lit a slow fire. Not too hot, not too cold. If too much oxygen entered, the wood would burn into ash. If there was too little air, the fire would die completely. Keeping that balance required constant attention, day and night, sometimes for more than a week. He slept beside the smoking mound. He ate beside it. He even dreamed beside it, because leaving for only a few hours could destroy everything. Most people refused to do this work. It was exhausting, dirty, lonely, and dangerous. But Hamid was good at it. Very good. He knew how to read the smoke. White smoke, gray smoke, blue smoke. Every color meant something. He could tell the temperature inside the mound just by looking at the way smoke curled into the air. People respected his skill. They also worried about him. Because Hamid had another reputation. He feared nothing. He laughed at old legends. Whenever elders spoke about spirits protecting ancient forests, he smiled politely. Whenever someone mentioned cursed valleys, he rolled his eyes. According to Hamid, every ghost story had a simple explanation. Fear, nothing more. One freezing morning in late November, Hamid loaded his mule with supplies and began another journey into the high Atlas. Snow already covered the highest peaks. The wind carried the sharp smell of cedar and frozen earth. His destination was a valley almost no one visited anymore. Older woodcutters avoided it. Hunters refused to camp there. Even shepherds kept their flocks away. When Hamid asked why, the answers were always the same. Bad luck, strange sounds, people disappearing. Hamid laughed every single time. Old stories, nothing else. After 2 days of climbing, he finally reached the valley. It was breathtaking. Towering cedar trees surrounded him in every direction. Some were so enormous that 4 grown men holding hands could barely wrap around their trunks. The air felt colder here, not because of the weather, because sunlight barely touched the ground. Even during the afternoon, long shadows stretched across the forest like black rivers. The silence was almost complete. No roads, no houses, no distant engines, only the occasional whisper of wind moving through branches that had stood there for hundreds of years. For Hamid, it was perfect. Dead wood covered the ground, dry, dense, exactly what he needed. He immediately began working, hour after hour, tree after tree. By sunset the first day, sweat covered his face despite the freezing air. Within 3 days, he had built one of the largest charcoal mounds of his career. Everything was going exactly as planned. The smoke rising from the mound was thin and pale, exactly what he wanted. He sat beside the fire drinking hot mint tea. For the first time in weeks, he allowed himself to relax. If everything continued like this, he would earn enough money to repair his parents' old house before spring. Again. The work was exhausting, but satisfying. Each swing brought him closer to another successful burn. By the end of the 3rd day, the charcoal mound stood taller than he did, carefully sealed beneath layers of damp earth. The fire inside burned exactly as planned. Thin white smoke drifted gently into the freezing air. Hamid leaned against a fallen log, poured himself a cup of hot mint tea, and allowed himself to enjoy the silence. For the first time in months, life felt simple. Then, something changed. It started with the wind, not stronger, just different. Instead of flowing across the valley, it suddenly stopped, completely. The smoke rising from the mound no longer drifted sideways. It climbed straight upward, perfectly vertical, like a narrow white column reaching into the gray winter sky. Hamid frowned. He had never seen smoke behave like that before. A minute later, the temperature dropped, not gradually, instantly. His warm breath exploded into thick white clouds. Ice formed around the rim of his metal cup. His fingers began losing feeling despite the gloves. Something wasn't right. He walked around the charcoal mound. Everything appeared normal until he reached the northern side. His stomach tightened. One section had begun burning too hot. Small cracks had opened beneath the soil. Orange light flickered through them. If he failed to stop the airflow quickly, days of work would disappear. He grabbed wet earth, covered every crack, waited. Nothing changed. The fire kept growing. He knew exactly what he needed. Fresh green branches, heavy ones, enough to block the oxygen feeding the flames. Without wasting another second, he picked up his axe and hurried into the forest. At first, he searched close to camp. Nothing. Every nearby branch was either too dry or too small. He pushed deeper. The trees became larger, older. Their trunks twisted into impossible shapes. Roots rose from the earth like giant sleeping serpents. The air somehow felt heavier. His footsteps became strangely quiet, almost as if the forest itself was swallowing every sound. Then, without warning, every bird stopped singing. The silence hit him like a physical force. Even the wind disappeared. Hamid stopped walking. He listened carefully. Nothing. No insects. No leaves moving. No distant animals. Only the sound of his own breathing. For reasons he couldn't explain. His heart began beating faster. He looked behind him. The path had vanished. Every cedar looked exactly the same. Towering trunks, dark shadows, endless silence. He forced himself to stay calm. He had spent years in forests. People became lost because they panicked, not because the mountain changed. He picked a direction, kept walking. Several minutes later, the trees suddenly opened. Before him lay a perfectly circular clearing. It looked wrong. Too perfect. as though every tree had deliberately refused to grow inside it. At its center stood a single cedar, unlike anything Hamid had ever seen. It was enormous. Its bark was almost black, not with age, with burn marks. Deep scars covered the trunk from root to crown. Long strips of faded cloth hung from dozens of branches. Tiny leather pouches swayed gently in air that wasn't moving. Ancient symbols had been carved into the bark, hundreds of them, some fresh, some almost swallowed by centuries of new growth. Hamid felt an uncomfortable pressure in his chest. Then he remembered something his grandfather once whispered beside the fireplace. There are trees the mountain chooses for itself. If you ever find one, walk away. Do not touch it, because those trees are never empty. Hamid stared for several seconds, then shook his head. Someone had performed old village rituals here, nothing more. His charcoal mound needed green wood. This tree had plenty. He stepped closer, placed one gloved hand against the trunk. It was warm, warmer than his own skin. He pulled his hand away immediately. No tree should feel warm in freezing weather. He frowned. Curiosity slowly replaced caution. He touched it again. This time, he felt it. A slow, heavy, rhythmic vibration, like a heartbeat, coming from somewhere deep inside the ancient cedar. Hamid stood frozen. His breathing became shallow. The silence around him somehow grew even deeper. Then, very softly, from somewhere beyond the clearing, a woman's voice whispered his name. Hamid. He spun around. No one was there. Hamid. The whisper came again, barely louder than the wind, soft, calm, almost comforting. He turned slowly, scanning the clearing one tree at a time. Nothing. No footprints, no movement, no animals. Only the ancient cedar standing behind him. His heartbeat gradually slowed. He let out a nervous laugh. The mountain was playing tricks on him. Hours alone in the cold could do that. Everyone knew it. He tightened his grip around the axe. One branch. That was all he needed. Then he would leave. He stepped beneath the enormous cedar. The branches stretched so high above him that they swallowed the gray afternoon sky. The air beneath the tree felt strangely warm. Not pleasant. Wrong. Like standing beside an unseen fire. The smell was different too. Not cedar, not pine. A damp scent filled with wet earth, old smoke, and something metallic, something that reminded him of fresh blood. He looked upward. Several thick green branches extended above his head. Perfect. He raised the axe. For a brief second, everything inside him screamed not to swing. It wasn't fear, it wasn't reason, it was instinct. The same instinct that tells wild animals when a predator is close. Hamid ignored it. His muscles tightened. The axe came down. Thud. The sound echoed through the clearing, but it wasn't the sharp crack of wood splitting. It sounded soft, wet, like steel striking flesh. Hamid froze. His eyes remained fixed on the cut. Dark liquid slowly flowed from the wound. Not clear sap, not amber resin. A thick black substance. It crept down the bark like oil. The smell of iron instantly became stronger. His breathing quickened. No, impossible. Trees don't bleed. He reached toward the liquid. His fingers stopped only inches away. Something inside him refused to touch it. The whisper returned, closer this time. Hamid, go home. The voice sounded familiar, too familiar. His mother's voice, exactly as she had sounded years ago. Warm, gentle, loving. Hamid spun around. The clearing was empty. His mother had died 4 winters earlier. His mouth suddenly became dry. His logical mind searched desperately for an explanation. The wind, memory, fatigue, anything. He refused to believe otherwise. He grabbed the branch with both hands, pulled. It refused to move. Grinding his teeth, he swung the axe again, then again, again. Each strike produced the same horrible sound. Each strike released more of the black liquid. Finally, the branch cracked. It crashed onto the forest floor with a heavy thud. The very instant it landed, every strip of cloth hanging from the cedar began moving. Not because of wind. There wasn't any. They all swayed together, slowly, silently, as though invisible hands had brushed past them. Hamid stepped backward. Something was terribly wrong. Then came another sound. Tap, tap, tap. Directly behind him, he turned instantly. Nothing. The sound stopped. He looked forward again. Tap, tap, tap. This time, from somewhere deeper inside the forest. His breathing became uneven. He lifted the branch onto his shoulder. Forget the voices. Forget the tree. Forget everything. Just reach camp. He left the clearing as quickly as he could. The strange tapping continued behind him, never rushing, never stopping, always keeping the same distance. Tap, tap, tap. Every few seconds it paused, then resumed, like someone following him, without wanting to be seen. Hamid refused to look back. He remembered another story from childhood. If the mountain follows you, never turn around. Keep walking, no matter what you hear. He hated himself for remembering those stories now. Minutes later, the forest began looking familiar. The silence faded. A cold breeze returned. Birds chirped somewhere in the distance. Hamid finally saw smoke rising from his campsite. Relief washed over him. He almost laughed. He had frightened himself over nothing. He hurried forward, dropped the heavy branch beside the charcoal mound. Immediately, he split it into thick pieces, packed the fresh wood around the leaking air vents. Within minutes, the fire calmed. The dangerous orange glow disappeared beneath the soil. The charcoal mound was safe. He had done it. Exhausted. Hamid sat beside the fire. His hands still trembled slightly. He blamed the cold. The sun hovered just above the western ridge. Golden light poured between the cedar trunks. Normally, it was the most beautiful moment of the day. Today, it felt different. The shadows stretched across the ground. Longer, darker, somehow, too fast. Hamid watched one shadow crawl across the forest floor. It wasn't following the sun. It was moving against it. He blinked. The shadow stopped. He rubbed his eyes. Maybe he imagined it. He looked toward the charcoal mound. The smoke no longer drifted upward. Instead, it spread across the ground, rolling slowly between the trees, like thick gray water. His stomach tightened. The smell changed. Fresh cedar smoke disappeared. Now the air carried the odor of burned hair, rotting leaves, wet stone, and something old, something buried. Then, without warning, every sound vanished. Again, no birds, no wind, no crackling fire. Even the charcoal mound seemed silent. The entire forest had stopped breathing. Hamid slowly stood, his hand wrapped tightly around the handle of his axe. He listened. Nothing. Then, a single dry twig snapped somewhere beyond the trees. One step, silence. Another step, closer. Crunch, silence, crunch. "Who's there?" Hamid shouted. No answer, only another step. Closer now, far too close. His pulse pounded inside his ears. The footsteps stopped just beyond the nearest cedar. Something stood there, hidden, watching. Hamid could feel it, even without seeing it. The smoke drifting between the trees slowly began to separate, creating a narrow path, as though inviting something to walk through. Then, a long, black hand wrapped itself around the side of the tree. Its fingers were impossibly thin, far too long to belong to any human being, and they were still slowly sliding into view. The fingers tightened around the trunk. Slowly, something leaned into view. Hamid forgot how to breathe. It was taller than any man he had ever seen. Its body was impossibly thin. Its skin, if it could even be called skin, looked like blackened cedar bark split open by centuries of fire. Long vines twisted around its arms like dried veins. Its joints bent at unnatural angles. Every movement produced a dry, clicking sound, as though old branches were snapping inside its body. Its face was worse. There wasn't one. Only a smooth surface of cracked black wood. Where eyes should have been, there were two deep, hollow sockets. Dark liquid slowly dripped from them. The creature remained perfectly still, watching him, or perhaps feeling him. Hamid's entire body locked in place. Every instinct screamed at him to run, but his legs refused to move. The creature tilted its head, once, then again. Click, click, click. The sound echoed through the silent forest. Hamid finally forced himself to move. He stepped backward. His boot struck a fallen log. He nearly lost his balance. The creature didn't attack. It simply watched, almost curious. Hamid grabbed the axe with both hands. His breathing became fast and uneven. He shouted, "Stay back." The forest swallowed his voice. The creature never reacted. Instead, its shoulders slowly rose. The cracked surface where a mouth should have been began to split open, not vertically, horizontally. A long, dark opening stretched across its face. Then, a sound came out. Not a growl, not a scream. A child crying, a little girl. Her terrified sobs echoed across the valley. Hamid's blood turned to ice. He recognized the voice instantly. It belonged to his younger sister. She had drowned when they were children. He covered his ears. No, that's impossible. The crying continued, now mixed with another voice. His grandfather, calling calmly from somewhere inside the darkness. "Hamid, don't look into its face. Run now." His body finally obeyed. He turned and sprinted. Branches whipped across his face. Roots grabbed at his boots. Behind him, the clicking grew louder, not faster, closer. Click, click, click. It wasn't chasing him. It was walking, yet somehow, the distance between them kept shrinking. Hamid burst into the campsite. He threw another armful of wood onto the fire. Bright flames exploded upward. For one brief moment, the creature stopped at the edge of the trees. It refused to step into the firelight. Hamid stared at it from across the flames. The figure remained motionless, its empty sockets fixed on him. Minutes passed. Neither moved. Then the fire suddenly weakened. The fresh wood should have burned brightly. Instead, the flames became smaller, darker, almost black. Cold spread across the clearing. The creature took one slow step forward, then another, straight through the dying fire, as if the flames no longer existed. Hamid swung the axe with everything he had left. The blade struck its shoulder. The impact felt like hitting solid stone. The axe flew from his hands. The creature never stopped moving. It reached toward him, its fingers wrapped around his wrist. The cold was unbearable. Not the cold of winter, the cold of something that had never known life. Hamid screamed. The world around him dissolved. The trees disappeared. The fire vanished. Darkness swallowed everything. The next morning, 4 men from Hamid's village climbed into the mountains searching for him. His younger brother led the group. They expected to find a collapsed charcoal mound, Perhaps an injured man, perhaps wolf tracks. Instead, their hunting dogs stopped walking. Every animal tucked its tail beneath its body, whining, refusing to move another step. No amount of shouting could force them forward. The men continued alone. When they reached the campsite, none of them spoke. The charcoal mound was cold, covered by a strange black crust that looked like burned glass. Every surrounding tree had turned black, not burned, changed, as though all color had been drained from the wood itself. Hamid sat quietly beside the ashes, exactly where he had been the night before. His clothes were untouched, his body showed no injuries, but his hair, once dark, had turned completely white. His face held no expression. His eyes stared toward the ancient forest without blinking. His brother rushed forward. "Hamid, it's over. We're taking you home." Hamid never answered. Not then, not ever again. Doctors found nothing wrong. Religious scholars offered prayers. Traditional healers performed ancient rituals. Nothing changed. For the remaining 43 years of his life, Hamid never spoke another word. Every evening, just before sunset, he carried a wooden chair outside his small stone house. He sat facing the distant Atlas Mountains, watching, waiting, as darkness slowly covered the peaks. Sometimes, his family noticed him smiling, not with happiness, with recognition, as though someone far away had finally appeared. On the morning Hamid died, his relatives found the chair empty. The front door stood open. Fresh footprints led toward the mountains. They followed them for nearly 2 kilometers. Then, the tracks simply ended. No struggle, no return prints, nothing. Only a small strip of faded cloth tied around the branch of an old cedar tree. The same kind of cloth villagers had used for generations to mark places that should never be disturbed. To this day, some Amazigh elders still refuse to cut certain ancient cedars, not because they believe the trees themselves are alive, but because they believe something much older has chosen them. Whether that belief is history, folklore, or something far darker, depends entirely on who is telling the story. But if you ever find yourself walking through an ancient mountain forest, and everything suddenly becomes silent, remember one thing: the mountain is not warning you, it has already noticed you.